I was browsing Amazon not too long ago and I noticed one of the old Flybird benches I bought in the past had made some changes or upgrades that I had been looking for some time, which is basically the seat height off the ground, and now I went and rebought it to see if it finally meets the standards I am looking for. So with that, I'm going to pair this bench with my new Core Fitness adjustable dumbbells. So if you haven't seen that review, make sure to click the video in the description to check it out. But with that, let's take a look and see if this bench can fit into your home gym setup. So as a quick recap, I bought this Flybird bench off of Amazon.com back on July 26th of 2023 for about $110 if you round up 1 cent. And being that this bench says it can support up to 800 pounds, $110 is actually a very good price compared to many other competitors out there. But as it is Amazon, it arrived a few days later for my unboxing. And this was a very, very simple unboxing as it is basically all put together for you. You only have to add a few things, such as the little ankle anchor point that you can use to do things like incline crunches or even incline bench pressing, so it keeps your legs locked in. But other than that, it wasn't really much to set up, so I just kind of took it out of the box and I was ready to go. Now once you unfold the bench, the distance from one foot to the other on the ground is 45.5 inches. And the feet themselves have a length of 14.2 inches in order to keep it from falling over. So looking at the backrest of the bench, it has a length of 30 inches and a width of 10 inches. And moving on to the seat, it has a length of 16.5 inches with a max width, yes there's some tapering there, a max width of 13.7 inches. But when you fold this thing up for storage, it will have a height of about 30 inches, or the height of the backrest, with a width of 14.2 inches and a depth of 9 inches. So now that we've got the size of the bench out of the way, let's take a look at some of the exercises I like to perform with the bench. First off, of course, we're hitting the chest by doing either flat bench pressing or a slight incline bench pressing. I like to just move it up 1 or 2 rungs and do incline that way. With a slight incline, I also like to do chest supported rows to hit the back. I've always really loved this exercise when doing it with dumbbells, so that's pretty easy to do here. Next up, we have the shoulders, where I like to do seated overhead pressing, but if you want to target the middle delt more directly, of course you can do some seated lateral raises. One great exercise with this bench, because it actually has flat feet now instead of kind of the rounded ones from before, is that you can do hip thrusts pretty easily. Now, I'd still probably prop it up against a wall, but hip thrusts to hit the glutes and something like the hamstrings is still a viable option with this bench. Next up, we have every guy's favorite body part, and that's going to be the biceps, where we can easily do some seated biceps curls. But if you also want to build your arms to hit the triceps, you can lie it down and do some skull crushers with it. And of course, there are many other exercises you can do. These are just my favorites when using the bench. And with that, let's take a look at my pros and cons list of this version for the Flybird bench, starting off with the pros. First off, this bench is actually very sturdy. I thought for the size that it is, it might be a little more wobbly, but with the included flat feet that you can use on both a floor surface like a rug or a hardwood surface, this has worked very, very well and has been very sturdy throughout my testing. Now I'm about 5'11", 190 pounds, and this is now the perfect height for me in terms of the seat height off the ground. Again, before it was at 21 inches, and that was just too high. I also saw a lot of comments of people complaining that it's just too high off the ground, which also made it not as stable when using it for things like hip thrusts. So now I feel like it's the perfect height for someone around that 6 foot mark. So this has been, again, great bench for me to use, and I wish I had this one from the start in terms of the height of that seat. Now the comfort of the bench is great as well. So it does come with 2-inch thick foam. I think I forgot in the specs, but you do get that 2-inch thick foam, so it is very comfortable to sit on and use. And that's pretty standard for most benches being at that thickness, so it's nothing new here. And my last pro is that for $110, this is pretty hard to beat. Most benches are more around the $150 mark and up for a bench that can support up to 800 pounds. And is this size. So I think this is basically as good as it's going to get for most people, again, around 6 feet tall and looking for a minimalist home bench to just use with their dumbbells. And with that, let's take a look at my cons list for the Flybird adjustable bench. So I was thinking about this, but really the only con I have for it is that it can't stand up on its own. I do have to, when you fold all up, lean it against a wall or flat on the ground. I had an older Flybird bench that you could put the feet together. I actually believe it was that 21-inch tall one, and that was one of the major pros of it. But this one, unfortunately, because the feet, when they come together, one is on the ground and one's off the ground. You can't just have it stand on its 2 feet when not in use. So that is something I'd love Flybird to fix. If they ever fix that and kept the rest of the bench the same, I think they have the perfect bench for the average person. So my final thoughts on the Flybird adjustable bench after the upgrades is that this thing is so close to perfect, it's kind of scary for me. Like, I've been going through a lot of benches in the past. I really did like something like the Iron Master bench that had the attachments as well. But if you're just looking for a very simple and on the cheaper end bench that can hold a lot of weight, again, for the average person, this is probably it. If they can come up with a way to have the bench stand on its 2 feet, I think this would be the perfect bench for me if I didn't want those, again, additional attachments like pull-up and dip bars. So again, I think this thing is excellent for the price. If you are looking for a simple bench to use at home, this is the one I think you should go for. If you're using something like a tower with like a barbell, just make sure you are not going over that 800-pound limit. But other than that, this I think will be the standard for most people who are just lifting at home. So again, Flybird, great job upgrading this product, making a better one. Just make that one change, and I think you have the perfect bench for those using or making a minimalist gym at home.